Hey y'all, it's Zucchini who is not wearing a bikini. That rhymed. I mean, you can probably see by the title that we're actually going to be rating stones today. Like you can see it back here, the stones. So now let's move on to our first section, the base stone. Alright, for the base stone category, first off, we're only using the top 3. If you've seen my last video, or last video, I don't know which one it was, but we're going to be rating it on this system. Of course, we're only going to be using the top 3, right? The point systems are kind of different now. 1 is now 2, 2 is now 1, and 3 is now 0, and if you're there, you suck. Or you don't suck, and just everything else is better than you. But first off, first section, the base stone. How is this going to work, right? First up, well, actually, I have to first go through, talk about it, right? First up, I'm going to go with Deep Slate. Deep Slate, it's a good block, right? It's got 2 textures, which makes it immediately better. Like, first off, you can use this texture for a lighter side, and you can use this texture for a darker side, right? Even better, you can turn around, there's different orientations, and it's kind of sick. I am not gonna lie. There's also 5 sections, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, is there? Can I count? No, there's 6 sections. We've leveled up. I'll just add those later. But next we have Blackstone. Honestly, feel like it's more useful than just stone, right? Stone, look at that. I mean, yeah, you can use it with gray textures, but that's about it, right? But I feel like Blackstone, right? I feel like I like the texture a lot more likely to use it. I feel like in darker settings especially, right? Blackstone can be very useful and very good looking block, which makes the last block stone, right? Yet again, only just gray, only for the lighter grays, and I'm not too big of a fan of that. So moving on to our next section, cobblestones. Now we have the cobbled stones. Right, moving on to this next section. Sadly, Blackstone does not have a cobblestone variety. So all we have to do is put Blackstone in third, because it just doesn't have one, right? If you don't have one, you're kind of sad. So what is the best cobbled stone, I would say? I would say it's honestly, I gotta say, it's called Deep Slate. Deep Slate is staying on top this round, but Cobblestone, it's in second, right? Why is Deep Slate over Cobblestone? Deep Slate, honestly, pretty useful, right? After it got added, I'm kind of in love with it. It's the only block that I'll ever use. Not only does it have like a nice gray texture, right? Like good gray texture, right? But I honestly feel like it just looks better overall, right? Like Cobblestone, the texture, it's a bit dark in some areas, a bit light in some areas, making it hard to blend with like other things. Right? Like sometimes I'll use the Cobblestone, but I don't know, right? But I feel like honestly, Deep Slate as a whole, right? It doesn't have a mossy variant, but we're talking about that later. I feel like that Deep Slate in many circumstances are actually going to be better because it's easier to blend with other things compared to Cobblestone, right? Now, and so, yeah, that's the ranking for the cobbled stones. Blackstone doesn't have one, so it just gets 0 immediately. Moving on to the next section, bricks. What is the best brick? Now, I feel like this one's going to be kind of hard, right? The texture is the same for literally all of them, right? But we just have to see which one is probably going to be a tad bit more useful. So, first off, I'm thinking, Blackstone, right? But I like the brick texture, man. I just feel like it looks better. It looks cleaner. I feel like it looks a tad bit more useful, right? Kind of like it, I just like it more, I'm really just basing this off of my feeling at this moment, right? Because I really don't know how to differentiate between the 3, right? It's a bit hard, right? But what's next? But moving on, I am thinking excluding the fact about just the mossy stone brick, whatever, I don't know, right? The mossy variants, right? I think stone brick goes in second for this category, right? Stone brick, I think it's a pretty nice block, right? Like, I can use this with, like, things like tough, with things like more of the lighter blocks. The reason why it's better, well, it's better than just, like, well, it's just, like, better than deep slate, I feel like. Like, I honestly feel like, yeah, the cobble deep slate has a bit more usage, but this one, like, I don't know, I'm just not too big of a fan. Like, I will probably prefer to use, like, stone bricks over deep slate bricks, especially if you actually need a good brick texture. Like, for the other bricks, honestly, right, you're not really using it for the brick texture, instead you're using it more for the color, I feel like. So I feel like stone bricks, right, if you're going to be using stone bricks, usually you're probably going to be using it for the texture. So because of the texture, I think it's up there. I'm not too sure though, right, because I feel like the bricks are probably going to be the hardest to sort because they're all pretty similar in terms of usefulness. So that's the ranking for the bricks. Now moving on, we have the polished / smooth variant of the blocks. Right, now we have the blocks. What is first? Oh, whoops. Smooth stone. I feel like it's the most useful out of them, right? Especially, right, the thing is, right, if you're going to be needing a smooth / polished block, if you need something that borders something very well, not gonna lie, smooth stone does it well, right? If you add it with, like, the smooth stone slabs too, right, it also works quite well. But moving on to the second spot, I am thinking polished black stone. I feel like polished deep slate. It looks kind of funky. Like, I'm not that big of a fan of this texture. Like, I'll use it sometimes, right? But I just feel like that polished black stone, it just looks smoother. It looks blockier. It looks like a square, because in this case I would be needing a square, right? It contrasts with different lighter blocks, which I feel like is going to be better, which is why the polished deep slate is on the bottom. Right, so now moving on, we have the chiseled section. Alright, y'all, gang, this one is going to be difficult, but first off, I think the best chiseled block is probably gonna be blackstone. First off, deep slate. The texture is kind of funky. Don't know where to use it. Right. Next, I just got infested. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Stone also looks kind of funky. Don't know where I'm gonna use it. But I feel like blackstone's texture, right? Like, yes, there is a nose, but I feel like it actually makes a bit more sense in a way. You know what I mean? Like, first off, if I'm gonna use, there's probably multiple uses for chiseled blocks, right? First off, it's like as a bordering block, right? So in that case, you don't want the design to be way too intrusive. But the second is if you want to use it as like an antique, like good looking centerpiece for a block. In that case, right, you don't want it to be too out there, and you want the texture to actually be useful. So in this case, blackstone, I feel like, takes the cake, which is why it is in first. But moving on, I feel like the stone variant, I feel like it's second, right? I'm like, I could use it, right? I could think about ways to use it, especially because this deep slate texture, I don't know, I think it's kind of funky, not gonna lie. Like, I can probably use it, but I've never used it, which is why this is a ranking for the stones. Alright, now we have the last section, the others. Alright, gang, first off, what do we have? Not gonna lie, deep slate tiles, they're up there. I can use it, right? It's a good texture. Like, look at that. Oh my god, I keep breaking it. What am I doing? Okay, I don't know why I made that sound. That was a bit weird, not gonna lie. Anyways, deep slate tiles, they're up there. It's basically just another brick texture for the deep slate. So I think just because of that, right, that's pretty banger, not gonna lie. Making it the top for this section. But what do we have in second? I honestly think it's the mossy variant of the stone blocks, right? We've been talking about this before, right? It can work with those blocks, but at the same time, I feel like the mossy variant is probably gonna be a bit more useful than gilded blackstone. It's just blackstone, but with a bit of gold bits. I feel like it's a good looking block, right? But it's probably not as good as just a good old mossy stone block, which is why this is the ranking for the stones. Now, we have the part y'all have all been waiting for. What is the best stone? What is it? And I'm here to tell you that I actually didn't do the math yet, so give me a second to actually do the math, and then I'll get back to you, and then I'll tell you. Doing the math, doing the math, doing the math. 1, 2, 3. I'm back, and apparently, this might not be as shocking and as fun as you might be expecting, right? Like, oh my god, all the stones are this is the best stone. Yeah, this stone is so good, bruv. I'm like, wow, yeah, I now know my best stone, and now I know my favorite stone, right? But apparently, it's all tied. It's all balanced, right? They all got 6 points, right? Because that's 2, that's 1, that's 0. So here we have Deep Slate, which got 2, 2, and another 2 over here, which gives it 6 points, right? Then we have the Blackstone, which got 1, and then 3, and then 4, and then what's after 4? And then 6. And then we have this stone, which got 1, 1, which is 2, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6. Yeah, I somehow tied it. Like, I'm good at this, I'm doing good. But so apparently it's a tie. It's a tie. They're all equally as good. They're all good stones at the end of the day. And so I guess that just goes to show that all the stones are the same level, right? I mean, I'll be honest with you, I kind of agree, right? Most of the stones are pretty similar, right? I mean, they're not similar, but they have their different uses in different times, right? It really just depends whether or not you're trying to go for a lighter build, or if you're trying to go for a darker build, or if you're just trying to go for something in the middle, right? So which is why, right? kind of feel so that's probably why it's equaled out or something, right? So yeah, that's the ranking. A bit anticlimactic, but you know what? I don't care. And if you think my ranking here is wrong, well, let me tell you something, y'all. I don't care. Yeah, I don't. I'm a meanie and I don't care about y'all's feelings. Just kidding, I do, but I just don't care about your rankings. So this is my ranking. I don't care about what y'all's is. Have your own opinion. We live in a free country, or at least some of you might. But at the end of the day, that is that. And ciao, goodbye, and that's the ranking. It's all right, yada yada. Bye, ciao.